this is Demetria or Mom Zest from ChristianHomeschoolMoms.com. So I want to, first of all, I always start my videos lately with a disclaimer that whatever you see behind me, I'm not really responsible for. So please don't focus on my moving clutter. I always like to remind you guys because it's like, ew, I hate having the clutter, but it's part of moving, it's part of the process, and it just is what it is. So there's stuff behind me, but focus on me. So today we're going to talk about thankfulness. It's getting close to Thanksgiving as I record this. I also wanted to share this. I created this about a year ago. So I've been crocheting. My mom taught me this art years ago. I was 7 or 8 when she first taught me how to do my first line of crochet. So I've been working on this for years, like, well, not this in particular, but just on the art of crocheting for years. And I just kind of like, I find it very relaxing and I like doing it. So I made this last year and I just pulled it out of the closet because I realized, hey, it's getting close to Thanksgiving. I'm going to step out of the house pretty soon. So I thought I could start wearing my scarves, but I don't have it paired up with the best outfit, but I thought it looked okay to wear with my jacket later on. So just wanted to show you that I've been working on my crochet skills. But today's video is about having a heart of Thanksgiving and gratefulness and the things that I'm grateful for personally as a homeschool mom. So there's so much about homeschooling that it's just been wonderful for our family, and it's different every year. It's different to when I see the things that are the positive results from homeschooling each year. It looks so different than the year before. And so I have so many reasons why homeschooling has just been awesome for our family. I said in a video before, or I will in a future video, about how we take it year by year, and each year we don't know. We're not sure if we're going to continue homeschooling all the way through to 12th grade for my youngest daughter. And we're not worried about that really. We're not making those types of definitive decisions right now. We're just focusing on what's good for this year, what's good for next year. And then we kind of project in chunks, like middle school, high school, like what do we need to be doing? Because with my oldest daughter, we had so much flexibility in homeschooling, which is one of the benefits, by the way, that I'll be talking about, that we ended up going in and out of different programs during her high school years. And I see that it would have been better had we had a program to begin with from 9th grade forward that we just stuck with, and we were able to go through the whole entire 4 years of high school with one program in mind. That's not how it worked out for us for various reasons, and it still worked out okay. It still worked out wonderfully. God has been good to us and has blessed our family, and so she's graduating this year or in 2020 with through classical conversations. And though we've only had 2 years of her high school with this program, it has been phenomenal, and it's all come together and worked out. So that's one of the things I would say, like, we just take it year by year, and every year we find that there's so many benefits to this lifestyle. And so what I'm grateful for is, number one, for freedom and flexibility. I feel like it has just freed our lives in such a phenomenal way. We're able to do things we wouldn't be able to do had my children been enrolled in either private or public school. And when we were in virtual school, so virtual charter school, online school, we had such a strict schedule. I may as well put my kids in public school because it was so defined and so structured and rigid that we really didn't have that flexibility that was marketed through those companies. So I would wonder when we could ever have our family vacation, and it was always going to have to be during school break. A lot of times those school breaks weren't regular breaks, like regular, holiday breaks, and it would just be some awkward, timing. So we didn't have a lot of flexibility in the public school system through the online schools. But homeschooling has afforded us so much. So I will tell you, we've been homeschooling since my kids were in kindergarten, preschool, and earlier. So since they were little, I've been thinking about this whole idea of homeschooling. The freedom that we have to craft our schedule every day, every week, every month, it's just such a blessing. I like that our kids can wake up when their bodies are ready to wake up, and they can start their schoolwork Once I have their schedules laid out, what they're supposed to be doing, or for the example of my oldest daughter, she already knows. She just checks her guide and she checks everything off the list as she's finishing up her work for the day. So it's very self-guided almost, and with some input from me. So I love that we have freedom to take off in the middle of the school year if we should desire to, and go to Disney World or go visit my family who live across the states, 2,000 miles away or more. So we have flexibility to do that. We don't have to wait until a school break, you know, spring break or Christmas break or fall break or anything. We can just go whenever, and we don't have to worry when we come back that we have loads and loads of homework to catch up on. So there's that lessening of worry about, will my kids be behind? You know, how much will they have to catch up in order, you know, to make the grade? We don't have to worry about that at all. We can go whenever we want, come back whenever we want, and pick up where we left off. So that's really awesome. That I'm really thankful for that part of our life. And also with going to Disney, for example, if we want to go in some off-season time when not a lot of people are there and we can like beat the crowds, crowd control is so perfect when you're homeschooling, because you can go in January. Once we went to Disney in January, we also went in I think December. So we've been like during times when other people aren't typically. Most kids are back in school in mid-January. We actually went during the election of President Obama years ago. So we went during that time, and it was so like quiet and was just easier to get through the lines. And being a homeschool family, we were able to take off during a time that most kids are enrolled in school. So it just made our lines shorter when we wanted to get through the rides, and everything was just easier. So I like that. One other thing about freedom and flexibility, when you have girls, and I have 2 daughters, so this is getting a little bit personal here, but when your girls are having those monthly cycle issues and things that they have to deal with on a personal level, and they're not feeling good, they don't have to show up in class, and they don't have to worry about going to the school nurse or calling home and checking out of school, or the embarrassment maybe. So all those things. And I thought about like, what would it have been like, you know, for, you know, starting their cycle at school, which that could have happened, you know, and it happens for many girls. What do you do, and how does that go down for you? What kind of first memory is that for you? How embarrassing would that be if you had no clue that was going to happen in that way and you weren't prepared, you know, those kinds of things. So even on a monthly issue, like on a monthly basis, it's like you think about, you know, how are girls dealing with that, especially those who actually have more pain than others, and like, how does that work for them? Because I know for me, when I was in junior high, that was not a good thing, because I was always in pain and I always wanted to come home and check out, but I couldn't. And just having to stay at school and go through that, when my cycles were horrible back then and very, very painful and embarrassing. And so for that, you know, to have that as a memory, I'm just so glad that my girls don't have to worry about that. They can kind of get through those things at home and figure it out. And it's not like we hide and not face the world, but it's just nice to be able to deal with those kinds of personal issues at home when your kids are really young and when they're first starting that time of life, and to have their mom nearby to explain it and to help them through it, rather than having to, you know, ask their friends or ask their school nurse for something they may need their mom or their aunt or somebody closer to them to help them through it. So that's another thing that I appreciate. Also, sick days. So that's another thing. Sick days, if they're sick, I don't have to worry. Again, I don't have to worry that they're going to fall behind. I don't have to be concerned that they're going to be 6 days behind because they have the flu or something crazy like that. So it just helps to have that, you know, laid back, you know, we're going to get our work done when we get it done, and we will get it done, but it doesn't all have to be today and tomorrow and the next day because we have this deadline. every week and every day. There's just a lot of pressure in a lot of the public schools. There's a lot of work, and I think sometimes that homework is just overkill. I've seen public schools. My kids are friends with public school kids and private school kids, and again, it's the same across the board. There's just an overabundance of homework given to these students. It's too much. It's too much. I don't see how families are dealing with this. I homeschool my kids, and I see, like, even with the amount of work that we're doing at home, I can't even imagine having to come home from work and then do the same amount that I'm doing now with them after I'm home from work and after they're home from school, and staying up 9, 10, 11 at night finishing up homework. I feel like I may as well homeschool them. It's because I feel that that's kind of what a lot of parents are doing, is after their kids are back from school, they get off the bus, they're like, here's my homework, can you help? And there's like 4 or 5 hours of helping their student get their math work done. So that's a whole different subject. Number 2, I'm really grateful, really thankful for being able to cater to my children's needs. Their needs change every year. Our kids, you know, they grow up, they change, and they don't always need the same thing. They don't need the same curriculum. They sometimes don't need the same subjects. Sometimes they don't need the same pace. So there's a lot of things that can change and shift from year to year with students. Some things probably gonna remain relatively constant, and other things are gonna need some beefing up or some changing, switching out. And so I love that with homeschooling, I can look at the situation and say, okay, does this curriculum warrant, or do we need to continue with this curriculum? If it's not working, then do we try to push through it until the end of the semester, the end of the school year? Do we switch? What do we do? And so there's that freedom, as you know, whether it's because of your faith, or whether it's because of a special need or giftedness or a learning ability or disability, however you want to word that. Whatever it is that your kids need that's different maybe from the norm or the average, you are able to, as a homeschool parent, to like speak to that and shift things around as you need to, because it's your kid and you know your kid better than anybody else, than any teacher in the world. And so you are the one that can make it better for your student because you know them better. And so I love that if it's because of your faith, and maybe there's some content in curriculum that you would not approve of your kids learning about, and maybe you can, because you have the freedom and the power to do so, you can just say, we're doing away with that curriculum altogether, and we're going to take on something completely different because I don't believe in XYZ. I don't want to teach this to my kids, therefore I don't have to. And so when you're in a public school system, I feel like that is not so much an option. So that's one of the things I really am grateful for with homeschooling. The other thing is being able to slow down and speed up according to your students' needs. So I can slow down a curriculum so much so that I might get through one level. We may even just go through one level of a curriculum for 2 years rather than the 1 year that's suggested. Or we can maybe stretch it out for 3 years. We might be able to finish a 1-year program in 4 months, in 1 semester. It depends on the pace of my student and what I feel like they're ready for next. So there's also a lot of other factors to consider. How quickly do I want them to go through the content? How quickly are they able to absorb it? Do I want to stay on a certain pace because that material is meant to go at a certain pace for a reason, and do I want to buy into this whole program, in which case maybe I need to finish this curriculum by a certain date so I can go to the next level the next year. So that all of that kind of planning out what your child is learning and having that real hands-on approach, that is a benefit of homeschooling if you like that kind of stuff. So if you don't even care about that and you don't want your hands into it and you'd rather have somebody else plan it out, map it out, and tell you what to do, then maybe this part of homeschooling wouldn't be so much a great thing. But it is for me and for a lot of us, and which is one of the perks, I think, of homeschooling for me, is that I like to know what my kids are learning and I like to be a part of the process. Even when they were in, or when my oldest was in virtual school, No, I didn't get to choose the curriculum, sadly. And I didn't get to choose the pacing, sadly. But I was there, like, figuring out the process with her and kind of helping her through things. But that was one of the biggest things that I missed the most, that I didn't like about the programs when they're in online schools, that they don't have it. There's no flexibility for the parent to choose anything. I couldn't just take out this module and, you know, have her skip this one and move on, or even just like push through faster because she's ready just to knock those modules out of the way so she can go to the next. There was no such thing as that. We couldn't move ahead in this particular online school, so we had to just go at the pace. And then sometimes the pace is too fast, and maybe the student's not understanding and grasping the content, and then you just have a frustrated student because they're falling behind because they're not understanding this one thing, and you know, the class is already, you know, 4 chapters ahead now. So that just is, it's a mixed match. And so we needed something that was like, that we could handle on our own, that we could manage. I'll give an example of some of the changes we made up over the years. One of the really big things that we've done that most families don't do when homeschooling is change out math curriculum multiple times. I think most people tend to find a math program that works and just kind of stick with it maybe, and maybe change out a few times. But I feel like we switch back and forth and waxed and waned between our math programs multiple times. And for a lot of reasons, I'm always like deducing why we make the change we do and why we're going from this to this to this to this. But and it you know, makes sense in my head. And I always, you know, we talk it over with our kids and see what they think about, you know, these changes. Not so much with my oldest right now. She just kind of sticking with the program set out for her in classical conversations. But with my 6th grader, we've talked about, you know, why we think that a different program would be better fit for her. What does she think about it? And she gives us feedback. And then from those decisions, we work together to decide, okay, maybe this is not what we need. Lastly, time together. There's so much time that we have together as a family, and it's just a sweet time. You know, we get to instill our values in our children before they leave home, and we get this one shot, this one opportunity to spend quality time with our kids. And when they're not coming back from school overwhelmed with homework and extracurricular activities that they have to get to, and just feeling gripey and funky because they had a rough day at school, we have more of their heart and their soul, and it's just more, they're more open to learning and to our teachings and our ways as a family. And they're not like always fighting us and rebuttaling us and going against our ways and rebelling against us. It's just a lot easier because we spend more time together. They know us as people. They know me and their dad as people, not just mom and dad, not just those old folks, but no, like people that they actually like friends. Like, we're not buddies, so to speak. I mean, we're their parents, but we are friends because they understand me. I talk to them about a lot of things. We make decisions together, and they have a respect for me and I have a respect for them. And it's just a beautiful way to live. I just really enjoy this opportunity to homeschool because of that. Family values as well. We've had a lot of opportunity to make family memories together. We've done things together, like when we were studying like our Hebraic roots in the past, we would do Passover together. We would do like, just like I said, Passover Seder. That's a sweet memory. Hanukkah, just things like that. Just like making memories as a family, doing things like the homeschooling part of it, the education part of it can be a little bit, you know, not so fun at times, because it's school and it's work and it's learning, and sometimes they don't feel like learning that Latin or doing that math. But it's not just about that. It's about creating a culture in your home of love for one another, understanding one another, and then going out and doing service projects together has just created great opportunities and memories for us. Like walking the Compassion International walks, we would do those, and we would serve, you know, at our church together. We serve individually, which is awesome to have that kind of time where my daughter can be involved in her youth group and serve in the music ministry as a worship leader. And then I serve on the worship team as well. And then together we all play piano, music, violin, ukulele, different instruments. So we like to play and sing together. That's a family memory we make that I just don't think we'd have time to do if we were maybe plugged into a full-time school situation. So I appreciate the years that we've had homeschooling just for those reasons. And should we choose to go toward private school in the future or even public school, I'm never going to say what we won't ever do, but should the opportunity or the time come when we have to make a decision to place my youngest daughter in maybe a private school or public school, I would just be happy that we've had this opportunity to make these memories when we were a homeschool family, because it won't be the same if she's in school full time. And I realize that. And it's not that we won't ever, make memories when you're in a different situation, but this is just so unique and special. And I'm really blessed that we were able to do this. I realize it's not something that every family can do. It's not always something you can financially pull off. And that's okay. You can still make memories. It's not, it's not like you're never going to be able to have those sweet family times together. You still can, and if you want to do it, you can and you will. But it's just that I'm glad that we've had this for this amount of time. Just really, really grateful. So those are the things I'm thankful for as a homeschool mom, as a homeschool family. And that's the end of my video. Went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but thanks for watching. Bye.